Hey y'all!
Hey Gallivanters!
Hey y'all!
So today we are here with Derek and Liz from Means to Travel. And we want to share some tips with you about traveling with your significant other. This is actually part one of a two-part video. The second half will actually live on the Means to Travel channel. So make sure you check those guys out. And it's Means to Travel.
Yes, so you can find us on YouTube at Means to Travel. That's the name of our channel. We'll have a link to the part 2 of this video below in the description.
So we've all traveled extensively with our significant others, and you know, sometimes you just need a few tips and tricks to keep everything going smoothly and keep everybody happy.
Now, we're not saying that there still won't be a hiccup, but you know, we're just giving you some tips here. So I would say the first tip is make sure you're on the same schedule, whether it be, you know, sleeping in, whether it be getting up early, whether it be, you know, whatever your plans are for the day. Everybody knows what's going on.
Or if you have a husband like I do who likes to wake up for sunrise photography, just in advance, maybe that...
She never comes with me.
Maybe that I'm going to sleep in a little bit and we'll meet at breakfast.
There you go.
So our second tip is that when it comes to planning your activities, you might want to take turns thinking through what activities you're going to do. That way both people are kind of engaged and are getting what they want out of the trip, because while you might be a couple, you're not one person and you have different things that are prioritized. So just making sure that you kind of take turns and share that responsibility and the fun that goes along with it.
Don't be greedy.
Yeah. And if somebody really has, you know, their bucket list item being something that the other person maybe isn't super into, having the ability to talk through how to share, you know, your experiences together is going to be really key.
It is, and along those same lines, you know, it's also okay to do things alone. So, for example, Tracey's very, very into football. I like it sometimes, but you know, with the time difference, if we're in Europe, it sometimes gets right in the middle of the day, and you know, I'd rather spend my time somewhere else. So we may split up. I may go to a museum, and she may find a pub that's, you know, showing the NFL, and that's an okay thing to do too. So don't be afraid to not do things separately.
Yeah, I think that's actually really important, because you know, if I think back to, you know, trips that Liz and I go on, you know, she might want to go shopping when we're in Paris, and I really loathe shopping. So rather
especially
than
shopping for women's clothes in
yeah, in the Marseille district or whatever.
Marais.
Marais, yeah, whatever. I don't know. Marseille is a city.
The Marais.
The Marais district. So for me, I'd much rather be out shooting photography on the Seine, things like that. So rather than grumpy Derek being with her shopping, which would make her life miserable, and me, we, you know, split up and come back, and then you have stories to tell each other. It's kind of nice.
For sure. The next tip that we have is to make sure when you're kind of planning out your activities that you're going to be doing together, don't overschedule yourself. Don't be the type that prints out an itinerary, 9 a.m. we're gonna do this, by 11 a.m. we gotta be on the train because we have to be at the next place. You know, that just makes it a little bit more of a chore. You're trying to get through a checklist than actually like experiencing someplace together and letting the, you know, the wind take you away.
So while it's important to have some sort of idea on what you want to do so that you're not wasting your time trying to come up with activities, you know, having that buffer in place so that, you know, you're open to new opportunities if they present themselves. Say, you know, suddenly you meet another, you know, group in your hotel and they're like, hey, we're about to go on this awesome hike, do you want to come with us? Being open to that adventure. Or on the other end of that, sometimes it rains, sometimes there's something, maybe there's a taxi cab strike, maybe, who knows?
Yep.
And you can't do what you wanted to do. If you have everything planned out to the minute, it doesn't allow you to pivot and make changes and still get what you want out of your vacation.
Well, exactly, because I know on our very first trip to Europe, we scheduled just back to back to back, and we realized we actually needed a down day here and there, even if it wasn't raining.
Yep.
You know, we needed a down day just to kind of chill and regroup, and because
you get tired.
Yeah, you get tired.
You do, and to Derek's point, when we were in Paris for the first time, we'd scheduled our trip to Versailles, train strike.
Oh, no.
And we couldn't get there in time. So, because it
And-
was a scheduled entry. So,
Yep.
that is the one thing I would say is, though, there are some things that you definitely need to buy tickets for in advance and sometimes schedule a certain
Yes.
time slot. Other than that, we usually just have a list of kind of like must see, nice to see, and okay if we have time, and then
Yeah.
we kind of just work through them based on
Yep.
how the day's going.
Absolutely.
You know?
Maybe don't schedule if there's something that you need a certain time slot for, such as like entry to the Anne Frank Museum,
Yeah.
or maybe your tickets to go on the London Eye, something like that
Yeah.
that you do need to buy in advance. Don't do another thing the same day
Right.
that also
Right.
needs
Right.
a specific time slot. It'll just make everybody's mood a little bit kind of like nicer, I think.
Yep.
So the next tip that we have that's a little bit in line with this is when you do have your itinerary kind of outlined, you want to make sure that both people have access to it. So just in case something happens or whatever, you want to be able to use a tool, maybe something like TripIt, maybe something like your Google Calendar, just to have everybody have access to understand what they're going to be doing each day. That also gives a little bit of leeway to have everybody be able to talk to each other and work through how their day is going to be, like, fall into place.
Yeah, well, the other thing about that is that, especially if you're alternating, like in our first step about, each person is, in charge of certain activities or things, they have a way to collect all that data together so that, if I book something for a Tuesday, she sees it in the itinerary and it goes from there. So
Exactly.
TripIt's we always talk about TripIt because that's the tool that we use, but there's others out there.
They should sponsor us, really.
And,
We use it too. I
We
mean,
do.
love it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's awesome because you've got all your what site you booked it on,
Yep.
all your confirmation numbers. It is in the cloud, so that way if you lose your phone, like
Yeah.
some people have done,
Yeah, well.
you can still get to it. All
And it
those
can
things.
link directly into the calendar on your phone.
Your-
too.
yes, yes.
So all you have to do is open your phone and you can see all of the information about what your flight tickets and times are like,
Yep.
all of your dinner reservations, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And it is awesome because I know there have been times when she has booked something, and most of the time we will talk about our schedule and what's going on, but then there are a couple of things that have just kind of slipped and she hasn't let me know about it, and all of a sudden I get this notification from TripIt that we have something booked or we're doing this, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, this hot air balloon experience outside.
Was that supposed to be a surprise?
Love that.
So I guess the next tip would be, kind of be in tune with each other and what your expectations are of, staying in a hotel, an Airbnb, a bed and breakfast, whatever it is, because
hostels.
yeah, yeah, just kind of be on the same page as far as what your expectations are, as far as what you need.
Yep.
One of you wants a swimming pool and one of you, doesn't, or one of you wants to stay in a cabin in the woods and one of you doesn't, Just make sure
Yeah.
you know what each other's plans are and what you expect from those stays.
Yeah. Or am I going to get breakfast in bed from room service, or do I
Yeah.
have to get up and cook it myself?
Yeah.
Right? I mean.
I always end up wanting to stay at a place that has a kitchen, kind of in an effort to save money, stay on budget,
Yeah.
and just have that option to cook. And this guy always wants to sleep in a hotel. He is just loving that like pampering hotel experience. So we kind of have to come together and find compromises, figure out what makes the most sense for.
Well, I mean,
for us.
I will say that we've stayed in some Airbnbs in the past that have beds that are less than ideal, and that makes the next day a little unpleasant. But
Sure.
for the most part, I'll say my wife is usually right, so it's fine.
Well, and on that same line though, you need to make sure that you're both on the same page regarding budget too, because that's an important piece. If I'm thinking, oh, this is like our big splurge trip, and Tracy thinks, oh, we're gonna take 4 other trips this year. We have to make sure that we know we're on the same page in terms of budget, because that will make a difference in the places we do stay in. Do we stay at a 5-star hotel, or do we get an Airbnb and cook our own?
That also brings up another point that we wanted to make that's kind of similar to being on the same page as like making sure you're on the same page with your budget, and it's that if maybe you're in a bit of a newer relationship, you don't have combined finances yet, like, you know, we're all married here, we've been married for a while, so it's just like it's something that we think about as you're kind of coming in with a group budget, but maybe you have two separate budgets and you want to make sure that you are you know, on the same page of who's going to pay for what. If maybe somebody pays for dinner, somebody pays for activities. Maybe you're splitting the hotel 50-50. Maybe you're, you know, have different budgets on hotels and you're going to find some other opportunity. So that's definitely something else to consider if you are maybe thinking about traveling for the first time together.
Or just simply don't have combined
Sure.
finances.
Sure.
And if you are in a new relationship and you sit down and you can't compromise, then you know it's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
So,
Travel
There
is the
you
metric
go.
to your
There you go.
relationship.
exactly.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed these tips. Remember, part 2 is on the Means to Travel channel. Make sure and go over there and see the rest of it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up,
Hit that subscribe button.
ring the bell,
Ding you dong.
so you'll be the first to know when new content comes out. Just remember,
Live your best life.
bye, y'all.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.